Well, yeah, good topic. It's so timely, right? Cold air funnels. How many of those have we had as of late?
Seems like a lot.
I know, and you've never done a Morse code on that.
No, new topic, and it was a weekend of funnel cloud reports, and stretching even back to July 4th. But on Saturday, we had a couple of these cold air funnel cloud pictures sent into skyspyphotos.com. Certainly a little bit of an ominous sky out there when you look up and you see a little bit of that skinny, weak tornado if they do touch the ground, but most of them do not touch the ground. They're just cold air funnels, that little bit of rotation aloft. You can get that thin condensation cloud that's just poking down from the clouds, and sometimes you have to look pretty hard to see them. But again, we got a lot of the reports from the past week with these showers and storms from, let's say, last Wednesday through over the weekend. And the one south of Stanley on Saturday did touch the ground. It was very rare for these cold air funnels to do so, but it did touch the ground as a tornado. There was even a tornado warning issued for the brief period of time that it was on the ground for only about 5 to 10 minutes. And there's the video of it, but it unfortunately did do some damage at a farmstead near Belden in Mountrail County. But that was, again, a cold air funnel cloud. You look up, you see this really skinny condensation funnel, and the specific unique meteorological characteristics that were in place to form these were with us for numerous days when we had these showers and storms because of a lingering upper level area of low pressure. So low pressure, the winds spin counterclockwise, and you can see that on the radar and satellite loop from Saturday and Sunday. Look at that spin, that upper level low rotating right around the region that sparked the showers and storms and provided that spin in the atmosphere, one of the ingredients for these cold air funnel clouds to form. So you have that upper level low in place, a dip in the jet stream, there's cold air aloft. So about 10, 15,000 feet above our heads, very cold air, whereas that sun is warming the ground. So you get this temperature differential from the ground to not too far up in the atmosphere, and that creates an unstable air mass. And we have that environmental spin, that counterclockwise rotation because of the upper level low. So now we have that spin in the atmosphere and these thunderstorms that are forming, which create updrafts. So updrafts, you have the warm air near the ground rising with the unstable atmosphere. So with the updrafts, within this overall spinning environment, you get these localized higher spin regions. And the environmental spin is stretched by the updraft. So you have the winds that are spinning it overall in the atmosphere at cloud level, which isn't too far up above the ground. And then when that air is rising in the updraft, it is stretched. So think about a figure skater spinning. When they have their arms outstretched and then they bring them in, they're spinning faster. So that spin, when the spin is stretched, the speed increases. So the figure skater analogy, when their arms are brought in within their body, they're spinning a lot faster. That can localize that spin to be faster in the atmosphere, and you can get that funnel cloud to drop down from your cloud. So again, it's just, you have the environmental spin in the atmosphere because of the upper level low, the unstable atmosphere, and then those very localized areas of faster spin, the updraft within some of these non-supercell thunderstorms just proliferates that threat for seeing these cold air funnel clouds. So the spin in the atmosphere is in meteorology, we refer to it as vorticity. I've talked about this on Morse Code of Weather before, and you can see those localized higher areas of spin or vorticity in the atmosphere passing right over North Dakota as we went through the weekend. So that allowed for that spin in the first place to be in our region, and then when it gets stretched by those updrafts, that allows for the spin to go faster and for these funnel clouds to form. So you get the cold air funnel cloud formation schematic here. You get the updraft from the thunderstorm stretching that vorticity, stretching that spin, forming the funnel cloud. But that's very different because that's without a supercell thunderstorm present. A supercell thunderstorm would allow for a tornado to form on a kind of how it typically forms. And that's when you have this big spinning updraft within your cumulonimbus cloud. The wind shear needs to be in place, the instability, all of these factors going into our traditional tornado formation within this big rotating updraft, what we call a mesocyclone, or that big cumulonimbus cloud, the supercell thunderstorm. and that is when you can get the wall cloud to drop down and then your tornado. So the tornado formation process within a supercell is different than what we see with cold air funnel clouds. That's why it's not really classified as severe weather, but if you do see one, you do want to take them seriously because on rare occasions they can't touch down. So the way that we can predict them is with this non-supercell tornado parameter, and that was lighting up in North Dakota on Saturday for seeing that environmental spin because of the upper level low, and then just enough of that being stretched to spin faster to create the cold air funnel clouds. The cold air funnels are most common in the spring and fall, but they can't happen in the summer when we have that upper level area of low pressure, the cold pool of air aloft. So on Saturday, this was the sounding when the National Weather Service launched the weather balloon. It was 78 degrees at the ground. Then you go up to 10,000 feet above our heads, it was at freezing, 32 degrees. So that's called the lapse rate, how quickly the temperature decreases with height. And that really dictated that we had an unstable atmosphere in place. So that spin from the upper level low and that strong instability or the wanting of the air at the ground to rise led to a lot of those funnel cloud reports. They're usually harmless, but they can touch down and create that minor damage as we saw in Mountrail County. This is different than what we see with landspout tornadoes, but it's a somewhat similar process because it's still associated with non-supercell thunderstorms. This was on July 4th. There was a landspout in Wells County. So the landspout tornado, that forms from ground circulation. So it's going from the ground to the top. Whereas with the cold air funnel, all that spin is aloft in the atmosphere. Both of them are usually pretty short-lived. They're often very difficult or impossible to detect on radar. So that's why spotter and public reports are very important. So sometimes a special weather statement will be issued. The tornado warning would be very short-lived. But that landspout tornado is really interesting on how that can form along a boundary. When there's enough spin in the atmosphere, that spin tightens, similar to a cold air funnel cloud. The spin speeds up along that boundary, and you can get these landspout tornadoes to form. You can get a lot of these different weird or scary looking clouds. Some of them are just scud clouds associated with thunderstorms. Some are wall clouds that can then go on to produce tornadoes. So you got to be paying attention to what's out in the sky. Look up at the clouds. If you see that cold air funnel cloud, it could mean something is coming, but usually they're pretty harmless, short-lived. But we had a lot of them in the region this weekend, and with that upper level low in place, that allowed for that spin to be in the atmosphere.
That's what it's all about, right? I mean, and now that the atmosphere is warming up to the layers, cold air funnels, not going to happen again for a while, the way it looks.
Exactly.
Excellent topic, Jacob.
Thanks, Jacob.
Yeah.
Appreciate
Welcome.
it.